Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michaela Faulkner. I'm an associate editor here at Farm Equipment Magazine. I'm filling in for executive editor Kim Schmidt today. Welcome to our latest webinar in conjunction with the Western Equipment Dealers Association. Today, we're discussing how top performers increase sales by providing an exceptional customer experience. Our presenter is Jim Facente, president and founder of Creative Sales Solutions and a former dealer principal. He's going to talk to you today about how to create an exceptional customer experience that will build customer loyalty, increase your sales, and give your dealership a competitive edge. And before Jim gets started with the presentation, I do have a couple housekeeping items. On your screen, you'll see a control panel with a Q&A icon. That's where you can submit questions at any time during the presentation, and then we'll take as many questions as possible following the presentation. We're also recording this webinar, and that recording will be emailed to everyone who registered, so you can share it with your team or revisit it again at a later time. And with that, I will hand it over to Jim.
Thank you so much. I'd like to welcome everyone today. Once again, as we were told, my name's Jim Facente, and I help people become a superhero to their customers by sharing with them how they can provide an exceptional customer experience. Like to start out and apologize for my voice. Just getting over COVID, had it pretty bad, but got through it. But it left me a little hoarse, so I apologize for that. Want to stress to you, it's not painful for me to talk. Might be a little painful for you to listen to it. I apologize for that, but I promise you we'll get through this. Before we get started, just want to let you know that we have a special offer, free offer for you from the Western Equipment Dealers Association at the end of the program today. So if you'll stick with us, I think you'll enjoy what we're gonna give you as a free offer. I'd like to start out and ask you to imagine for me, if you would, that you had a magic genie. And this genie could share with you the secrets of all of the top parts and service people all across North America. Well, I'm not a magic genie, but I do have those secrets. And unlike a genie that doesn't share his secrets, today I'm going to share those secrets with you. And what those secrets are going to do is going to allow you to become a dealership that your customers just can't live without. It's also going to get customers to want to do business with only your dealership. And then it's going to get customers to really fall in love with your dealership. Now, I know probably right about now you're saying, yeah, right. I mean, come on, Jim, is that really going to happen? Where'd you get all of this information? Let me share with you how we got this information. As a training company, we've gone out and we've called, recorded, and evaluated more than 3,500 parts and service people representing dealerships from all these major manufacturers. And today, I'm going to be sharing the secrets with you of what the top people did. But before I do, I just want to ask you a little question here. When I say that we went out and we recorded and evaluated these 3,500 people, would you say on average, most people were A, rude and obnoxious with very little product knowledge, B, had pretty good product knowledge but not overly helpful, C, were pleasant and polite with really good product knowledge, or D, not overly helpful with very little product knowledge? I'd like to ask you, if you would, in the chat box there, just kind of type in what you think we saw the most of, A, B, C, or D. Just type that in there for me.
We're seeing a lot of B's so far and a C as well.
You know, when I ask this question, I have to tell you, overwhelmingly, most all of the time, people will pick B. And when we started out doing this, we actually thought it was going to be B also. But the correct answer is actually C. Most all of the people that we evaluated were pleasant and polite and had pretty good product knowledge. So you might be asking, well, Jim, if that's the case, why is there any need for training? Well, let me share with you something else we found. We found that there was a clear distinction in the methods used by the top performers as opposed to everybody else. It really wasn't that they were that much more polite or helpful. It was the techniques they used. As a matter of fact, we identified 8 secrets or techniques, if you will, that top people used that most everybody else didn't use or didn't use on a consistent basis. And today, I'm here to share those with you. How I'd like to share those with you is I'd like to show you a study we did. We went back and we looked at the 3,500 people we recorded and evaluated. And we measured how many of them were doing these top things that top people were doing. And let me show you what we discovered. The first thing that we saw was that the top people were really good at asking for and using the customer's name during the call. But as you can see here, less than 25% of the people we evaluated ever made any attempt to get the customer's name or use the customer's name during the call. We found top people would ask if the equipment was down to determine the urgency and severity of the problem for the customer. But less than 15% of the people we evaluated ever asked that question. Ask permission to wait. What do we mean by that? Well, typically, we'll call up, ask to buy a part, or have our equipment repaired. And the average person will ask some basic questions, model, serial number, that type of thing. And then there's this dead silence on the phone. Now, in defense of the parts or service person, they're busy looking up the information. But the customer's sitting there wondering, what's going on? They forget me? Are they working with somebody else? We're the top people. Before they ever made the customer wait, they'd ask permission. They'd say things like, do you mind hanging on with me while I look this up? Or do you mind bearing with me while I get this information for you? Surprisingly enough, only 22.1% of the people offered any additional parts that we needed for the job. Along the same lines, for service, less than 10% of the service people said, well, besides the unit overheating, are there any other problems with the equipment? And when it came to parts, less than 10% said, well, besides this water pump, are there any other parts you need or anything else that you might need? Here's an interesting one, all for the service department. We kind of challenge people on this a little. We'll call up and we'll say to a parts person, hey, I got a buddy that thinks he can help me change this. Do you think we can do this? Is this difficult to do? Just to see if they'd offer the service department. Less than 15% of the parts people ever offered the service department to perform the repair. And then, of course, the big one, ask the customer for the order. Only 16.2% of the people ever asked the customer, did they want to buy the part? Did they want to schedule a repair? And then lastly, was less than 10% of the people actually provided an exceptional customer experience. So really, what is an exceptional customer experience? What is a great customer experience? I said, I help people become the superhero by creating this great customer experience. So often when I say that, somebody will say to me, well, Jim, aren't you just talking about customer service? Don't you just mean great customer service? And I really don't, because there's a huge difference between customer service and customer experience. Customer service is what your people do. Customer experience is how they do it. In other words, when we talk about customer service, it's something everybody does. Everybody sells parts, everybody fixes equipment, everybody sells equipment. So because of that, it's really not unique, and it makes it something of a commodity to the customer, and therefore it's unrememberable by the customer. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble today, but I have to tell you, people don't go home at night, sit around the dinner table and go, oh, wow, I bought a part today for a tractor, or, oh, wow, we had the combine worked on today. Because as long as your customer service is delivered as expected, on time, and as promised, customers don't give it a second thought. And the reason they don't give it a second thought is because that's what they expected to happen. They expected you to have the part. They expected you to fix the equipment. One of the biggest mistakes we see so many dealerships make is they have this misconception. Well, if we got them part, we fixed the equipment, everybody was happy, nobody griped, nobody complained. Wow, we've created this customer for life. We've done a great job, created a great customer experience. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not true, because at the very least, that's what the customer expected. Now, customer experience, on the other hand, is something completely different. It's how you do what you do. Do you do it in a way that evokes a positive reaction and feeling from the customer? Is it unique? Is it uncustomary? Does it make the customer stand back and go, wow, I didn't expect that, or geez, that was really something different? Because if it does, then it becomes memorable. Then they sit around the dinner table at night and say, well, you know, I called up to buy a part today, and boy, was that parts person helpful. They told me about other parts we might need, or, you know, I called up to get the equipment repaired today, and boy, was that service person. They were really interested in helping me solve my problem. And we're trying to rush me off the phone. We're trying to sell me a bunch of stuff, really trying to help me fix the problem that we have. When we do that, it creates a need in the customer to have that type of behavior repeated. So customer experience is not just meeting a customer's expectations, it's exceeding a customer's expectations. It's when you take an everyday, mundane transaction with a customer and you turn it into something that's really memorable. Another big mistake we see so many companies make is they have this belief: if we have all these fancy facilities, got all these service trucks out on the road, got all this inventory on the yard, wow, we're creating a great customer experience. But once again, that's not true, because it's people that create great customer experience. We like to say, you are X, you are the experience. And how you go about creating that great customer experience has a huge impact on whether customers are going to be loyal and come back. Because I want to stress to you, customers don't remember how much you know, or what you say, or what you do. Customers remember how you made them feel. When you create an exceptional customer experience, there is indisputable evidence that it creates loyalty. Customers don't want to do business with anybody else. They just want to do business with you. It increases referrals because they go out and tell everybody what a great job you do. It reduces price sensitivity. Customers can quit beating you up over price. You know, today, everybody thinks all the customer wants is the lowest price. All they want is the lowest price. We hear this in our training programs all the time. Well, once again, that's not true. And let me prove it to you. If all the customer really wanted was the lowest price, today, everybody would be driving a Yugo. I don't know if you're old enough to remember the Yugo, but years ago, there was a car manufactured called the Yugo. It was far and away the lowest price car in the market, thousands and thousands of dollars cheaper than any other car in the market. It enjoyed the distinction of going out of business faster than any other car company in history, because people don't want the lowest price. What people really want is the best value. Value is defined as the spread between what the customer paid and what the customer felt like they received. The bigger the spread, the bigger the value. When you provide an exceptional customer experience, you dramatically increase that spread, thereby increasing the value, and the price issue literally goes away. It also reduces the likelihood they'll switch to a competitor. If the competition walks in, they'll kick them out because they know nobody's going to treat them the way you do. Here's a great thing for us. The great thing for us is it makes customers far more tolerant, understanding, and forgiving. Let's face it, we're all far more understanding and forgiving of people we have great relationships with. Our friends, our family, our relatives, well, maybe not relatives, certainly not some of my relatives, but you know what I'm talking about here. We're far more tolerant and understanding of people that we have these great relationships with. And lastly, it increases sales from existing customers, and you won't have to sell at all. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to play a typical recording for you. This is a typical parts recording call. And as you listen to this call, I'd like to ask you, if you would, to see if you can find any opportunities that this parts person might miss. See if you can pick up on, did they ask the order? Did they get the customer's name? Any opportunities that the parts person might miss. Here's the recording.
Parts, David.
David, I need a part for my tractor.
Okay, what are you needing?
I need a water pump for a 4450.
Okay, let's see, 4450. Water pump, let's see. You want a rebuild kit for it, or you want a water pump?
Well, I think I want the whole pump. It's leaking pretty bad.
Okay. Let's see. For a 450 water pump sub 4 mark. SC 509 volts. Okay, I can have one in the morning. I don't have one on hand right at the moment.
Any freight to get it in?
Probably about $5-6.
Okay. Well, what's the cost on that, David?
The cost is $438, and there's a $50 core on the old one, so it'd come up to $388.
Okay. What kind of warranty comes with this pump? This new one?
They have a year. It's a reman. It has a year warranty.
Okay. Can you tell me, by looking at it, is it difficult to change out?
They're really not too bad.
No special tools required or whatever?
No, there's not. Just getting your fingers in there and getting it out of there. But no, there's no special tools involved.
All right, so you reckon you could have one in the morning, $5 or $6?
Yeah.
And the net price is $388 after you give me credit for a core, huh?
Uh-huh.
All right, well, that's what I needed to know. I appreciate it very much.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, now let me ask you, if you would, if you just kind of type in, do you see any opportunities that that parts person might have missed? And maybe if you could just type in the chat box there, anything you saw that parts person might have missed. Didn't try and ask for the order? Absolutely. Didn't offer the service department? Excellent. Didn't ask for the order, didn't ask for the sale. Really good, really good stuff. Let me show you the things that we saw that he failed on. Notice that, like they said, never got any customer information. Didn't know who he was talking to, where the customer was located, and didn't get his phone number, couldn't get back to him. So consequently, since he didn't get his customer information, he couldn't use the customer's name during the call. Did you notice there was a lot of dead air there? Never asked for customer's permission. Do you mind hanging on here while I look this up? Do you mind bearing with me while I get this information? Never offered any additional parts. Could have offered thermostat, coolant, belts, hoses, clamps. Never offered any of that. Never asking him about any additional parts besides the water pump, anything else that he might need. As you guys picked up on, never offered the service department, and then, of course, never asked the customer for the order. Now, once again, I want to point out, he wasn't rude, he wasn't obnoxious, but he certainly was anything but provided an exceptional customer experience. No enthusiasm, really didn't genuinely seem like he wanted to help the customer. Let's take a listen now at a typical service call. And I'd like you to kind of do the same thing, but also see from a customer service perspective, customer experience perspective, anything that he might miss on.
Service, this is Brandon.
Brandon, I've been referred to you. I've got a little problem with my tractor.
Yeah.
I got a water pump that's leaking pretty bad, so I need to get some idea of what it might cost me to have you folks come take a look at it, get it fixed.
Okay. Where are you located?
I'm in Black Earth.
Black Earth? So is that, what, 30 miles from here?
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah. The trip charge would be about 50, 60 bucks, I think, just for us to come.
Okay.
And then the tech time is $100 an hour from the time he leaves here to the time he gets back.
Okay, so it's 50 to 60 for the round trip travel charge, and then $100 an hour door to door, huh?
Door to door, yep.
Okay.
So,
and you guys warranty work?
do we guarantee our work?
Mm-hmm.
As in, like...
Well, if you put a new water pump on for me and it fails in a month, you come back and fix it for free.
Well, we do, it'll be a parts warranty. Parts warranty covers the part, not the labor.
How long is that for?
6 months.
6 months? And what about the labor?
Labor, that would be your cost.
So we've got to redo it, huh?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right, that's what I needed to know. I appreciate your time.
You bet, not a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, if you just type in for me any opportunities that you felt that he missed from a service perspective. Let's take a look at some of the things that we saw in addition to what you're showing. Once again, never got the customer's name, so he didn't know who he was talking to, where he could, where the customer was from. Couldn't use the customer's name during the call. Good, no enthusiasm. Guys are good with this. Never asked if the equipment was down to determine the urgency or severity of the problem for the customer. Didn't ask permission to make the customer wait. Never asked if there were any other problems besides this problem. And then, of course, he never asked the customer for the order. What I'd like to do now is show you how to become a dealership your customers can't live without. And I'd like to do that by playing a top parts call for you.
Parts, Jeff here.
Hi, Jeff. I need to get some information on a part I'm looking for. I'm looking for a water pump for my Kubota tractor.
Okay.
Tractor's an L3450.
Okay.
Can you give me a price on that?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Let me just write that down here. L3450.
Yeah.
Water pump.
Right.
Okay. Just ask you a couple of questions. Can I get your first name, sir?
My name's Brad.
Brad. Okay, and your phone number?
604-864-1129.
Okay, and is it just the water pump that you're after today, Brad?
Is there anything else you recommend I get when I change a water pump?
Now, is your water pump leaking, or is it making noise, or?
Well, there is a little bit of a leak on there, and we've had to put antifreeze in there, so do you think it needs anything else?
Okay, well, normally when they do a water pump, they'll replace multiple components. Usually they'll do thermostat, maybe check the rat hoses, check the belt on it.
Okay,
see if if they warrant replacement, because after age on those, the rat hoses will get stiff, and when they do, sometimes they get so brittle that they'll actually start to form a crack when you try to reseal it onto the new water pump. It won't seal properly.
Well, how about quote me on those other parts as well, and then I can have an idea what the whole thing would cost.
Okay, Brad, we can definitely do that for you. Okay, just give me a minute here, Brad. I've just got to bring up the information in my book. So it's 3450.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks fairly straightforward. Water pump. There's no serial number splits on it. Okay. Water pump shows I have one in stock.
In stock, great.
You're looking at a price of $261.69. Now, you also need the gasket for sure on that.
Okay, what's a gasket cost?
Okay, just going to run those numbers through the system. The gasket, you're looking about $12.
$12. Okay, that's not bad. Okay.
We can definitely. Would you like me to put these aside for you?
Well, not right now. But I was going to ask you, does the part come with any warranty?
Well, the Kubota parts come with a 90-day warranty on those parts.
90-day.
I've never seen anybody requiring a warranty on a water pump from Kubota. They're very good quality pumps.
I'm just wondering.
They're made in Japan.
Okay.
Now, is this something that you'd be doing yourself, Brad?
Well, I have a friend who says he could change a water pump for me because he's worked on some other tractors. But I'm wondering, how difficult is it to change that part?
Well, I've got a complete shop here that does all the servicing on the tractors for us here.
Okay.
And they could definitely do that for you and give you a quote on what it would cost for labor. When's the last time you serviced this unit?
Probably a couple years ago now.
Okay, because we have a program, maintenance program that we have going. Well, they can do an actual inspection on your tractor, do the services part as well that's required, but then also let you know of any other items that they may need.
Okay, like just do an overview check of it and see how it works.
That's right, and they'll be checking specific items. They'll let you know on anything that is concern, anything that should be a good idea to change, or anything that would need to be changed, or they may pick up on a problem that you have with the unit that you're not aware of.
Okay.
And I can transfer you to our service department right now if you'd like to talk to them about that.
Well, I can look into that later. Okay, well, that's what I need to know. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Okay, Brad. Now, you need me to put this aside for you or anything, or?
Not at this moment, but I'll have to get back to you on the order.
Okay, Brad. And call me anytime, and then I can let you talk to the shop here, too, if you like.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate the information.
Okay, thanks for calling, Brad.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Now, I think you'll agree there's a huge difference between that call and the first call that you heard. And the reason that he was able to get all of this information in was he has a process for handling the call. Now, a lot of times when I play that call, people will say, well, Jim, you don't understand. I'm 12 deep at the counter. I don't have time to go into all of that. I don't have all that time. Let me tell you an amazing thing about that call. That call was less than a minute longer than the first call you heard. And he was able to get all of this information in because he's trained properly how to handle the call and how to have a process for dealing with the customer. Let me play a top service call for you.
Service, this is Jay. How may I help you?
Hi, Jay. I'm having a problem with my tractor I was hoping you can help me with.
I'd be glad to. What do we got going on?
Well, my starter seems to be grinding pretty good, and I'm wondering what it cost me to get a starter replaced on my 9420.
9420 starter grind, you said?
You bet.
Okay. Is the machine down, or, are you able to start it?
Yeah, I can still start it, but that grinding in that starter sounds like gear is gone or ring gear, I don't know what. Just sounds so bad, like it's going to have to be replaced pretty soon.
Okay.
Like, what do you guys charge to come out and do that here for me?
How far out of town are you by chance, sir?
Just over 10 miles south of town.
About 10 miles here. It looks like it'll be about $43.13 for the truck to come out. And then technicians' time as far as driving out there,
So $43.13, is that like a travel charge? Is there mileage on top of that?
That would be the travel charge.
Okay. What's the hourly rate when a guy comes out here then?
The hourly rate would be $135 an hour from when he leaves to make the repair and when he gets back to the store.
On average, how many hours to replace a starter out on something like that?
Starter on that, I would say, is going to be about an hour.
An hour?
And I'd figure, 20 minutes to drive out. So just to kind of cover that variance, I would say 2 hours travel time.
So let's say 2 hours with traveling, so.
Yeah.
2 hours times 135 plus the travel charge.
270, about $320 just for the call out there, sir.
Okay, and then whatever the part is.
Correct.
You guys usually stock those starters like that, or is that something you got to order in?
Let's see here. Pull it up in my window. What by chance, as far as getting this squared away, what would happen to be your name, sir?
Oh, my name is Brian Miller.
Brian Miller? Okay. Good number to reach you at if he does get lost or something like that?
701-845-0805.
845-0805?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. I'm working on pulling up the starter here. I believe we have a remand option that would also be available.
Hey, those are usually a little cheaper, right?
Yes, they are.
And they're just as good, right?
Typically, yes. Actually, sometimes I'll actually push the remand to start with, a little bit cheaper, and then I can get you a year warranty through Deere.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. If you guys replace it for me, is there any warranty on that service work?
Yep, I have a year parts and labor there. So.
Oh, perfect. That's what I want to hear.
Let's see. I do have they're showing me some serial breaks. It's going to take me a minute to kind of fish through and see if it's the same number all the way across.
Well, just off top there, what do you think it's going to be, like a $600 starter or something, or $1,000 bucks?
Let's see. The new starter is going to run, I'll give you both options here. The new starter looks like it's going to be, that 960. I do not show having one of those available at this point.
All right.
So I would have to order it. So, of course,
what's the remand going
freight. Pardon?
What's that remand go for then?
We're looking here, looks like about 720.
720.
And I do have one of them on hand.
In stock.
Is this something you'd like me to get lined up here for you, Brian?
We'll hold off on that right now. I'm just going to find out when I have some time to be here when the guy comes, and then I'll call you back and we'll figure out something.
Okay. Would there happen to be anything else you'd like us to be prepared with? You know, any lights or anything like that you know you might have that, you know, save you a trip if we could bring it with?
Well, everything right now seems to be pretty good except for this starter problem I've got.
Okay.
But I will get back to you then, and then we'll figure out something from there.
All right. Sounds good, Brian.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the information, Jay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Now, notice the difference in the demeanor of how he handled the call, how he asked if the equipment was down, and he gave the correct information on warranty, asked the customer for the order, and notice how helpful and genuinely interested he was in helping the customer. I want to share with you one of the biggest secrets we saw with all of the top performers, and that's what they focused on. Top performers didn't focus on making the sale. They didn't focus on making their numbers. They focused on solving the customer's problem. There's an amazing thing that happens when you focus on solving the customer's problem. You don't have to worry about sales because sales is a byproduct of solving the customer's problem. I want to give you some things now that will get your customers to want to do business with your dealership and only your dealership. And one of the first ones is to assure the customer you're going to solve their problem. You know, so often we'll call up and we'll ask about a part, or we'll ask about service, and we'll hear, well, you know, that's a new one on me, or I never heard of that before. Or, that's not something I know. Let me tell you what top people say. The top people we call up say, don't worry, we've got this part on order for you. It'll be here Wednesday, you can pick it up. Or don't worry, I got the part on the shelf. Come in, ask for me. I'll have it right here for you. Or you know, don't worry, I'm going to send you one of my top service technicians. You're going to love this guy. We're going to get you fixed up. You're going to get going, and we're going to get you back up and running, no problem. But I have to tell you, so often when I say that, somebody will say to me, well, Jim, I'm not going to say that. And I'll ask, well, why not? And they go, well, we don't always get the equipment fixed the first time, or we don't get the part in on the day it's supposed to come in. So then I like to ask, well, how often does that happen? Is that 20% of the time or 30% of the time? Or how often does that actually happen? And they go, no, you know, maybe 5 or 10% of the time. So then I like to ask, well, because that happens 5 or 10% of the time, that means you're missing the opportunity to reassure 90% of all of your customers that you're going to solve their problem. And they say, you know, Jim, I never thought about it like that. Remember, customers come to us because we have a problem or they have a problem. And we talked about creating a great customer experience is how you make the customer feel. What better way to create a positive feeling in the customer than to assure them that you're the professional, you're the expert, you're going to solve their problem. Really want to get your customers to only want to do business with you, start using the customer's name during the call. It's critical. It builds personal information. I want to show you just a quick video on using the customer's name.
Asking for and using the customer's name is important, and many people we evaluate fail to do it. Why is it important? Using the customer's name is the logical and most effective first step in providing an exceptional customer experience. Simply, customers like to hear their names. So, how do top performers get customer information without making the process sound like an interrogation? When trying to get customer information, many employees make the mistake of immediately asking for a customer's name before making a connection by asking about the customer's problem. This can come across as extremely cold and possibly be viewed as a lack of interest in the problem. When a customer calls to ask for a part or to have equipment repaired, top performers will say, "I'd be happy to help. May I ask you a couple of questions?" They will then ask for basic information regarding the problem, such as the make and model of the equipment, and follow with, "By the way, is the equipment down?" By using this process, top performers establish a connection with the customer. Once the connection is made, top performers then say, "Just in case I have to get back to you or provide you with additional information, may I get your name and phone number?" There are two reasons top performers find this process effective. 1. It builds rapport with customers by putting them and their problems first. 2. They receive permission from customers to ask detailed questions. Once you establish rapport with customers, they're more willing to provide their contact information. If you will try this process, you will notice it's an effective way to acquire and use a customer's name.
The next way to really get customers to want to do business with you is to establish your credibility with the customer. I want to stress to you, whether it's the first time or the 100th time you're dealing with a customer, every time you interact with a customer, you're either building or losing credibility with that customer. And you're doing that by how you provide information. Are you giving them information that relates to their problem in a manner that they can understand how this information is going to help solve their problem? Are you giving them a bunch of technical mumbo jumbo? Also, how you answer their questions. One of the big questions we like to ask is, well, what kind of warranty comes with the part? What kind of warranties on your service? You heard in some of those recordings that we first saw, well, there's no warranty on service. Well, that's not true. Or we'll get, well, I think it's 60 days. I think it's 90 days. If the customer asks a question, it's important. And we should know the answer. And if we don't, we should tell the customer, we don't know, but we're going to find out. And lastly, how you deal with the problems. Do you deal with their problems in a way that shows the customer you're genuinely interested in helping them? Let me give you the big secret to building credibility. And the big secret is simply trust. We build trust through consistency. When we are consistently truthful, fair, and honest with customers, when we put the customer's interest first, when we keep our promises, when we don't overpromise and underperform, when we consistently show competency, that we know what we're doing, we're not making a bunch of mistakes, and most importantly, when we prove to the customer we're not going to hurt them. We're not going to overcharge you. We're not going to charge you for things we didn't do. We're not going to make promises we can't keep. When we do this, this builds trust and this builds consistency. I want to share with you some things that we saw that lose credibility with the customer. Many people think you lose credibility over one big incident, but we found that's not true. We found you lose credibility by inflicting too many minor wounds. And you lose credibility when you say things like, I don't know. No, you're not expected to know everything. Nobody knows everything. But it's what you do when you don't know something that counts. Top people will say, you know, I'm not 100% sure, but I want to make sure I give you the most accurate information. Let me get your name and phone number. I'll find out this information, and I'll call you back in 20 minutes. Another one that loses credibility is, I've never seen this before. I've never heard of this. That's a new one on me. Or that's not my department. So often, we'll call up a parts person and we'll ask them, Do you think we can do this ourselves? Is this difficult to do? Time and time again, we get, that's a service question. You know, I've called a service guy and talked to some of the service people. Well, that's not what top people do. Top people say, you know, let me let you talk to John in our service department. He's an expert on this, and I'm sure they'd be happy to come out and take care of this for you or help you with this. Today, I'm going to ask you to stop telling customers you can't do things and stop saying no to customers. Now, I know what you're going to say. Jim, that's ridiculous. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. You don't understand my customers. Well, they do understand the customers because I was a dealer for 25 years. I'm not asking you to do it. I'm just asking you to stop saying you can't do it. Instead of telling people what we can't do, let's start telling people what we can do. Let's start saying things like, well, what if we could do this? Or here's a workaround. How about this? Or what if I could do this for you? You'd be amazed when you make the commitment to stop saying no and stop telling people you can't do things, how creative your mind will get. And then, of course, the last one is that it's against our policy statement. In a customer satisfaction survey that was conducted, people were asked, what's the number one thing that ticks you off the most, that upsets you more than anything else? This was it right here. It's against our policy statement. Let me assure you, customers could care less about your policy. They're concerned about getting their parts, getting their equipment fixed, and getting their problems solved. Another big one, you really want to get customers to do business with you? Always ask before you make the customer wait. Top people will always say, do you mind hanging on while I look this up? Would you mind working with me? Or do you mind if I put you on hold while I look this up? And when they come back, they all thank the customer for waiting. One of the interesting things we saw was that it wasn't one big, giant, extraordinary thing top people did that created this great customer experience. It was all of the little ordinary things they did in an extraordinary manner. Let me play a quick video for you on that.
After recording and evaluating more than 2,500 plus employees, we have found it's not one extraordinary thing top performers do that separates them from all of the others. Instead, it's the many ordinary things they do in an extraordinary manner. Here are 10 ordinary things top performers do in an extraordinary manner. 1. They pay attention to the customer. Top performers concentrate on the customer and do not allow themselves to become distracted. 2. They never interrupt the customer. When you interrupt a customer, the customer gets the impression what he or she is saying is not important. 3. They listen when the customer interrupts. They stop speaking and listen to the customer. This conveys to the customer you are listening and it's important. 4. They have outstanding manners. Top performers use please and thank you. Both are magical phrases in business. 5. They have a genuine interest. Top performers display an attitude that shows their commitment to help. 6. They don't pass the customer around. Top performers will never tell a customer they have the wrong department and hand off the customer to someone else. 7. They never blame their employers. A top performer never uses company policy as an excuse to not help a customer. 8. They go the extra mile. Customers enjoy the special attention they receive from employees who go the extra mile, which builds rapport and trust. 9. They show empathy. Customers are more likely to be comfortable with employees who make an effort to see things from their perspective. Finally, 10. They have a positive attitude. No matter the situation, top performers are upbeat, have a can-do attitude, and appear eager to solve a customer's problem. These 10 actions will take you from ordinary to extraordinary.
What I'd like to do now is I'd like to give you some things that will really get your customers to fall in love with you. When you get your customers to fall in love with you, start showing and telling them how much you appreciate them and their business. The top people we evaluate will say things like, hey, I know I don't say this a lot, but thanks so much for the order. We really appreciate your business. Or, hey, you know, I know we kid around a lot, but we really value you as a customer and we really appreciate your business. Now, you might think that's corny, but let me tell you who's not going to think it's corny. and that's the customer. In a study that was done of people that had left the company and went somewhere else, the number one reason wasn't because of price, wasn't because of quality or service. It was because they didn't feel appreciated. And they didn't feel appreciated because we get in the habit of dealing with our regular customers all the time and taking for granted that they're a good customer, and we never show them how much we appreciate them. It's kind of like telling your wife or your spouse that you love them. You know, it's like when I first got married the first time, I told my wife, I said, hey, let me tell you, I love you. The situation changes. I don't think I need to be telling you I love you all the time. Notice I said my first wife, right? Customers are the same way. We have to reinforce that with customers. We have to show customers how much we value them and we appreciate their business. And the only way you can do that is by telling it and showing it to customers. Another one is when you're closing out the call or the interaction with the customer, we want to assure the customer that the problem's going to be solved. We're going to get this taken care of for you. We're going to get this fixed for you. We're going to get you the parts you need. You're going to really be happy with this piece of equipment. We want to leave the customer with this positive feeling that they dealt with somebody that was genuinely interested in helping them solve their problem and not just make a sale. Because once again, I want to stress to you, customers don't remember how much you know or what you say or what you do. Customers remember how you make them feel. And I want to just play one last video for you of the importance, 5 reasons of why we should be providing an exceptional customer experience.
The quality of a customer's experience in dealing with you should be your main goal. It's all about putting the customer at the center of your business, and companies with employees who do this have a distinct competitive advantage. In addition, parts and service people who elevate their customers and focus on solving problems gain a wonderfully disruptive competitive advantage because they increase customer loyalty, retain more of their existing customers, and create strong customer advocates. Here are 5 benefits of boosting your customer experience skills. Providing an outstanding customer experience builds loyalty. When a customer has the expectation of a reliable, repeatable, and pleasurable experience with you and your dealership, their loyalty increases. Well-executed customer experience encourages customers for life. Customers for life have lasting value, ensure the profitability of the dealership, and boost job security. Thoughtful customer experience creates customer advocates and evangelism. Customer advocacy and evangelism act as turbo boosters on social media networks and other communication channels that elevate the voice of customers and generate referrals. Customers are more demanding. Service standards keep rising. As more and more companies deliver better and better service, customers become more demanding and their expectations grow accordingly. A great customer experience recognizes the new, powerful role of the customer. The power of today's customer is greater than ever. Over 50% of people will not do business with a company that provides a poor customer experience. Who customers do business with is based on how they feel, not price. The role and influence of the customer have changed dramatically because of social media, online communities, and the ability to spread the word to thousands of people instantly.
So the takeaways from all of this are simply, when we provide a great customer experience, your dealership becomes a dealership your customers can't live without. It gets customers to want to do business with only your dealership, and it gets customers to fall in love with you. Now, I told you I was going to give you a free offer at the end, and I am. But before I do, I just want to throw the floor open for any questions about what you've seen here, any yeah buts, yeah, but Jim, I don't know about that, or yeah, but Jim, I don't know if that would work. So feel free to just type those into that Q&A box or type it into the chat box. So if there's any questions whatsoever.
We'll give people a couple minutes to submit questions. Thank you for all that great information. I think maybe to start us off, how would you advise that a dealer take some of these tips that you've given them today and actually put them into practice?
one of the things that we've discovered is for this to really be effective, you need what we call a process. Training's great, but you really need a process. And what I mean by that is that there has to be something to not only train people, but to reinforce it, to coach people, to educate people. And, those are things, whether you do it with us at the Dealer Institute, with Western, or whether you do it with somebody else. But training is critical to be able to get this because, a lot of this is like dealing with your kids. You go out and you tell your kids, you need to be asking for the order. You need to be offering additional parts. And everybody goes, yeah, do that. But you need a process to do this, to really get it ingrained in your people, to get them to really do this. That's the most successful way to get it done.
Okay. I think this is a great question now. As we're coming through a busy planting season, what should you do when you're working with a customer and your phone rings?
We get this question a lot. And, when you're working with a customer and the phone rings, when you pick that phone up, what you're indirectly saying to that customer standing in front of you is, this person's more important than you are. And you don't even know who this person is on the phone. You have no idea who this person is. It's going to be somebody shopping the price, but that's what you're saying. But by the same token, that could be your biggest customer on the phone. So there's kind of a dilemma. Let me share with you what we see top people do. Top people, when the phone rings, they'll say to the customer, excuse me, do you mind if I take this call and tell this person I'm working with you and they're going to have to wait and then I can help them. So now we're indirectly saying to the customer, I'm going to tell this person on the phone, you're more important than they are. Then they pick up the phone and they take the call. Now, I have to tell you, if the call's your biggest customer, your big giant customer in front of you may have to wait, but probably not going to be your biggest customer. So then you just simply say, look, I'm currently working with somebody else. If you'd like to hang on, I'll be happy to help you. Or if I can get your name and phone number, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. You got to call them back. But now you've tried to satisfy both customers. And that's one of the ways we see top people handle this. But somebody that walked in, somebody that's come into the dealership, they're going to buy something. They definitely should take priority. And we want to let them know you're more important than this guy on the phone.
For sure. To follow on that, how long do you think is an acceptable time to leave somebody on the phone on hold?
We like to say in our training program, we don't like to put a hard, fast rule of how long you should leave somebody on hold. But we have a goal, what we call a goal. And the goal is 20 seconds. And that's difficult because 20 seconds can go by pretty quickly. So what we want to do is, instead of putting somebody on hold, we want to see if we can get to call that person back. Well, let me tell you the big problem with calling people back. When you say to a person, look, let me get your name and phone number, I'll call you back, they don't want to do that. And the reason they don't want to do that is because they don't know when you're going to call them back. They don't know if you're going to call them back in 2 hours or 2 days or 2 weeks. The successful way to do that is, I'm currently working with somebody else. Can I get your name and phone number? I'll call you back in 20 minutes. I'll call you back in 45 minutes. Give them a timeline. And then you got to stick to it. But people will be receptive if you'll give them that timeline.
If there's somebody who maybe isn't as receptive, or just in general, you have a upset or difficult customer, how would you recommend dealing with that person?
We have an entire program, and we love to do that on dealing with angry customers, dealing with upset customers. But and it's an involved and highly effective program. But let me just give you 3 tips dealing with angry customers. Number 1, don't get involved. Don't get emotionally involved. And I know that's difficult because they're screaming and hollering at you, but you have to keep your cool. Number 2, you have to let the customer blow off steam. I don't care what you say until you let them get it off their chest, blow off all that steam, get it out. I don't care what you say, it's not going to help. So we got to let them blow off steam. And the third thing that you have to do, critical, you have to apologize. You have to say you're sorry. You have to use the 2 magic words. And I know you might not be at fault, but you still have to do it. because you're never going to solve the situation. That's kind of a 10-second overview, but we have a regular training program that deals with dealing with difficult and angry customers and turning that angry customer into your best customer. But those are the 3 big tips to do.
Okay. I'll give one last call for questions here as we have a couple minutes left. And then I think we'll take this one that's, I know we're dealing with a lot of shortages right now, part shortages, inventory shortages. What is your advice for getting customers to understand that the part they want may not be in stock?
Okay, couple of things here. Number one of the things, we do a lot of customer surveys too. And one of the things we hear is, oh, they never have the part in stock, they never have the part in stock. Here's one tip. We have dealers that we work with. If that part is in another location, they don't say, we don't have the part in the stock. They go, oh yeah, we got it. It's in our Cincinnati location. I can have it here tomorrow. Or, oh no, we got it. It's in our Milwaukee location. We can have that here tomorrow. So that eliminates a lot of the, we don't have it, it's out of stock. But it's worldwide. People understand today that there's a supply chain shortage. The problem is everybody thinks every problem, everybody wants to blame on COVID, or they want to blame on the supply chain. But we've got to be fair and honest with our customers and say, look, we understand, and be empathetic with the customer. I understand you're down. I understand you need this part. And we're doing everything we can to get this from the factory. But the good news is, if you listen to the economists, and we're looking at a lot of economists, this is going away shortly. In 3 or 4 months, this is going to catch up. You're going to see this is going to catch up. It's going to get better. Anything else before I give the free offer?
I think you can go ahead and give the offer.
Okay, good. Let me get the thing here. Let me ask you a question. How skilled are your employees at providing an exceptional customer experience? Do they obtain and use the customer's name? Do they offer additional parts and repairs? Do they ask the customer for the order? Do they provide an exceptional customer experience? Would you like to find out? Well, through the Western Equipment Association and our company, which we work with them, we will call, record, and evaluate up to 3 of your parts and service people at absolutely no charge. We'll review the information with you, and it'll really give you an insight into the level of customer service and customer experience and how your customers are being treated. And I could tell you, you're not going to hear a bunch of people who are rude and obnoxious. We barely find that. But I think you'll find, on average, after evaluating more than 3,500 people, that your people may be missing these opportunities, and there might be an opportunity to make them better through training, either through the Western Equipment Association, with our company, or with somebody else. But we'd like to have that offer for you. And what we're going to do is we'll email that offer to you after the program today. In closing, I want you to know I'm available as a resource to you. If you jot down my phone number here, that's my direct extension. If at any time you got any questions about any of the information I've shared with you today, or any questions about anything that I could help you with, or the association could help you with, please feel free to give me this call. In closing, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present this information to you. It's been a lot of fun. And like I said, if I can help in any way, please feel free to give me a shout. And make a commitment to go out and provide an exceptional customer experience. Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jim. And just, I have a couple words of closing here as well from Farm Equipment Magazine. Just wanted to let everyone know again that today's presentation and audio will be made available on the Farm Equipment website in the coming days. Like I said earlier, watch your email for that and the Farm Equipment daily email newsletter for more information. Registered attendees will also receive a link to the recording via email. On behalf of Jim, the team at the Western Equipment Dealers Association, and all of us here at Farm Equipment, thank you for joining us for today's webinar. You'll see a short survey that pops up once you leave the webinar, and please let us know what you think. You can always contact me or Kim Schmidt directly with any topics you'd like us to cover in future webinars. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day.